Observer's Log. Yes, still doing it a little different as we bring you weekly reviews of the new Star Trek show, Star Trek Starfleet Academy. I am one of your observers, Jay Clark, your other observer, Eric Berry, better known as Trekkie B47. You already know what it is. Red alert. This is not the safe space. If you have not seen these episodes, they are coming. Spoilers ahead. Um, Episode 4, Sir Vox and Excelso.
Man,
I have to say this.
okay.
On the first watch of this show so far,
Hmm.
easily I would have told you episode 5 was my favorite. And it's up there. But episode 4 just might be my
Oh,
favorite of the season,
even with everything in episode 5, which we'll talk about.
which we'll talk about. But I think it's because this here, as a whole,
Mm,
is some damn good Trek.
yes.
Just as a whole, yeah.
I really think because this episode deals with the character of Jaden Krog, I think this was a much needed episode early in the season because of all of the new Star Trek series. I think Discovery kind of gave Klingons like a bad taste in the fandom's mouth.
You think?
And I think that was made primarily with the makeup and the looks. Because I did like some things that Discovery
Oh,
did with the culture and
we felt that was the best part of seasons 1 and 2.
yeah.
To be honest, was the stuff they did with the Klingon culture. It's just more the aesthetics, yeah.
But I think because of the fan backlash of the makeup, they didn't revisit the Klingons much again until Strange New Worlds and Picard season 3, obviously with the return of Worf, because you
Hmm.
can't have TNG without Worf. But I feel like this episode did the Klingons like a great service in terms of more of their culture. And TNG, DS9, they and even Voyager and a little
Hmm.
bit of Enterprise, they've all expanded the Klingon lore, and some might say maybe too much.
Folks are tired of them a little bit.
Yeah, but this dealing with a 32nd century Klingon empire that is no longer an empire. And what does that mean for the Klingon people? My God.
I mean, I love how you started off the episode and like right away they're playing with the that title. And it's like, oh, all of a sudden, like just Klingon on the screen. It's like, oh, if you ain't know, because everybody been asking where the Klingon, what's going on with the Klingons here, and I love
Yes.
how we just pick up. We're just right at the start of this story. Again, the show is feeling very episodic. The Athena is out. You know, we didn't have to
Hmm.
launch from Earth. We're just already out in space, picking up on this class. You know, the
Yeah.
Nebula, and I
And
love it. It's just right there.
I love that with the digital technology of today, and obviously they're using the volume type screens, but I like that they're using it for the windows
Yeah. Hmm.
because they can be on Earth in one episode and in space the next, and it's just an instant visual cue to say, okay, I already know, like, we're already out there. Like, this is an Earth based episode or a space based. I
Right.
love that.
It's great. And as you even said, how kind of again they set the tone like this is a Jaden Krog episode. Shouts out to Kareem Diane as Jaden. Let's talk about this character because this is his episode, and
I think Kareem is doing an incredible job. I've been following him recently on his social media, and there was one video where he said that he learned Klingon, like he studied Klingon, like pronunciations. He watched all like most of the major Klingon episodes before this. Like he
mm,
really wanted to get a sense of the culture. And it was impressive because he even worked with a vocal coach, and he like did Jaden's voice like live in this video, and he like dropped the octave, and
Yeah,
he
'cause that's
was
him. That's not digital or nothing.
and
That's
well, they said he
a
said
little bit
there
maybe.
might be some reverb that they add, or like some like a little bit of a effect, but from the video, I'm like, that's pretty much him. And so shout out to Kareem because I think he's doing an incredible job.
And the character as well, because this is one of the ones that the Chucks have been kind of just getting on because it's Klingon and drag, or he's been featured on some of the art in a skirt, and he's a pacifist, bird watcher, and
A
as
healer,
a healer, and I I, I don't want to say this is a defining thing for this character, but I like how they're playing with it. So episode 3, we get the hints that Jaden is gay or is at least interested in males of other species or
right?
whatever he may be on this 32nd century spectrum. And I love that how they played that in episode 3. It's brief. You either catch it or you don't. And I remember I was like, oh, people are going to have a problem with that. It'll be, but it
Yep.
is what it is. I like how they did a little bit of that there, and then they don't touch it at all in this episode. And this episode truly defines the character in full and literally almost sees him reclaiming in a way and truly discovering who he is. And none of it has to do with his sexuality. And I like how they play with that because it's kind of like it's not the focus of him, it is
Right.
a piece of him. But in terms of truly defining who he overall is as a person and as a Klingon, it's not a factor. And I like how they didn't really touch it in this episode where we are focusing on him.
There was a little bit. I have to backtrack a little bit. There was with Raimi with that meditation.
I can see where, yeah,
There was just a little hesitation on his
right,
part
yeah,
where he backed
yeah,
away kind of at the end, and I because Raimi is like he's like poly whatever, like
yeah.
he'll like f
He
anything.
down for some fun, yeah.
He's down for anything. So I took that a little bit as maybe Jaden is unsure of his sexuality.
I more so took it as in that scene in particular was just a vulnerability thing in
Oh,
general,
okay,
not
okay,
necessarily.
sure,
I said, I'm not saying I can definitely see how you read it that way,
yeah,
and it quite possible. But for me, it's like no, I just in general as the vulnerability because he just kind of steps, Raimi just kind of steps into that space and takes it upon himself to help Jaden, and I think it's a great scene, but there's definitely some
yeah,
tension there. But hey, if you read it either way, again, but even if you do read it that way, again, it's not the major factor here. If
right.
if it just plays into it a little bit more and enhances it, perfectly fine. But I like how they're not making it a central tenet of who he is, and I'm really loving what they're doing with Jaden. Like it's great work.
And I love that he doesn't tiptoe around because everyone else is trying to tiptoe around the fact that this ship crashed and there was like 8 major houses on this and this might be the end of the Klingons in general. And everyone like because the backdrop of this episode is they're having a debate uh competition,
Hmm.
and everything happens with the Klingons. The news gets out. Even I love this scene with the instructors with Laura Thok and Captain Ake
Oh,
like
and they're
trying
breaking the
to
news to him. Yeah,
breaking the news to him, but he's like, "Look, my parents abandoned me. Like, whatever. Like, whatever." And he's a little bit in denial, but at the same time, he doesn't tiptoe around it. When everyone else is trying to tiptoe around it for his feelings, he takes it head on. And if that's not the most Klingon thing, is to take a challenge head on, I thought that was a great subtle aspect of his character for starting this out.
man, the quotes in this one, like Even from that scene right there, today they refuse everything, even if it means their extinction. My, because folks have been asking, like, what is going on with the Klingon Empire? And here we are. We learn that they are literally on the edge of self-extinction since the burn because they're Klingons and they're proud and they don't want to change. Message. And they're literally going to remain true to themselves to the point of where they will wipe their civilization out. Wow.
And that's an important key with the burn, is because dilithium wasn't just on ships, it was powering
Their
planets.
their entire planet.
And so Kronos is gone. And the fact that we didn't see them much when we didn't see them at all when Discovery got into the 32nd century, we didn't,
Heck, we haven't really even seen him. We didn't see him in Picard. You
except for
know,
Worf, but
we
not
saw
really.
we saw a little bit in Lower Decks.
Yeah,
But that's Prodigy. They were like we haven't really seen heavy Klingon since Deep Space Nine. The last real update we know is that Martok was going off to be Chancellor, and Worf was his. You get a little bit through Worf as we reconnect, but for the most part, yeah, it's like okay, yeah, what are they doing? And
yeah.
here we learn something about where they're at.
And I think it's so incredible because this felt like a classic Klingon episode. I mean, this is up there right with like all of the best Worf stories, and to get this out the gate for Jaden's character, because now we're dealing with 10 episode seasons, so you have to make these character moments jump, and I think this episode was a huge leap for his character.
It explains everything you need to know about him. Like, because again, a lot of people have been complaining, "Oh, how is he Klingon? Klingons?" No, he is Klingon, and he fits right in. Like, I even love the fact is like we see some Klingon family on the planet. Him talking about, why couldn't they see me how you see me, or you saw me when he's talking about his brother, and we eventually learn that low key they did. You just didn't see it, and it's we'll talk about that moment when we get to it. But it's like we get to see some Klingons and the interaction. Okay, yeah, the earning of the weapon and the warrior stew, which I love. Taking a step back, I love the interaction between him and Caleb with the lunch and their kind of friendship growing in a very natural sense as it would in school. Like, yep, class out, we just eating lunch, we trying different things because I ain't never had this food before. We got replicators and they add to the lore. We learned about this warrior stew that we ain't never heard about before. Like it's
There's also a subtle thing that, like in I think it was the second episode. It's when Caleb and Raimi are like fighting and they're arguing, and in the
yeah.
Aki's and he's like, oh yeah, well you hide food and that's weird, but we find out a little bit more. It's because
Why?
he wanted to taste Earth food with his mom when they got there. And all these little character moments, it's not just a Jaden episode, it primarily is, but I like that how naturally they develop their friendship. And this is an early rivalry and an early conflict that tests their friendship because they were the first two in this whole group to meet.
It's forcing Jaden to again, this is kind of he had such a high vision of his brother and what his brother meant to him, and slightly closed off to getting that close with somebody else. And we see that when that conflict pops up. Definitely love how the issue happens and we get into this debate practice, and I love how we get this. Yeah, the doctor doesn't want to touch this as a subject, but the kids are like, why not? It's relevant. Let's talk about it. And essentially he's like reluctant. He's like, don't compound with ignorance. My God, it's like, yes, we can talk about these things, but let's not make things worse by talking about random. Like, don't just bring random stuff in here. Don't bring your ignorance. Let's talk from actual fact and what we know. Like, oh, that was setting the tone for it, man. That's
And shout out to Robert Picardo in this episode as well. Really a different side of the doctor, the more authoritarian like teacher that's trying to control these students and control the debate. A very serious doctor
But it makes sense too, because
And it
yes,
makes
he
sense.
debated himself to life in a joking
That
way, but that worked.
that
That
was
that
such God, it was such a good, just everything about this episode, and I love that we find out more about Captain Aki's past relationships, and I
real quick before we get to Captain Aki, I got
oh sure,
the tease they give us about the Doctor here, as you mentioned, how they've been doing these character moments throughout the episodes. Episode one when Sam first meets him and where we learn something possibly happened with him and the Prodigy crew, and then here, he has that line: "There is no protection, not from loss. There never can be. Something has happened." And you get the sense because he's talking, he's seen all his friends die, people he's at close, but
yep,
they are teasing that we're going to find something out. They're going to tell some story about how this man has lived these 900 years and maybe what that has. And I'm intrigued because they've been putting these breadcrumbs in, and it's like, ooh, we're going to get some good Doctor, hopefully within this season or at least in season two at some point. And they've been teasing the hell out of that, and it's, whew, come on.
yeah. I feel like we're gonna have a major Doctor moment, if not this first season, maybe the second season, but I feel like they're planting the breadcrumbs now for a big Doctor reveal soon.
I think we'll definitely get it in season one because of what we'll talk about in episode six. I caught something on a rewatch. There's another,
Okay.
but yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
back. So yeah, Captain Ake and the whole again. And so again, I love what they've been doing with the story here. We have the kids focus area of things, and then you also have kind of the adults focus thing. And like you said, we're getting that through Ake and her relationship with the Klingons right now, and she get down with the interspecies swirl
Let's
herself
go. I mean,
apparently.
but I also like that we still get the diversity in Klingons in this episode
Mm,
because we have Klingons played by black people and a Klingon played by a white person.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
we get all of it. And
Hmm.
I just like how they show how diverse the Klingons are, but also I mean it speaks to the core of the Klingon Empire. Like, even the negotiations, like, the Federation can't just give them this planet. And that's like the crux of this episode. Like, uh, Chancellor or Captain Ake has to figure out how do we get them to the table without giving them something? We have to think like Klingons. And she's trying the
Well, no,
diplomatic route.
she's not trying to think like Klingons. Remember, they want to give the Klingons the planet.
Yes, yes.
That's
And
what sets up the whole debate
yes,
is, whether the Klingons should accept it or not, because as we know, they've kind of been stingy. Um, this debate that they get into around this topic. First of all, anybody with anxiety is going, especially which we know this generation experiences a lot, will resonate because I like the way that, it's a little portrayal of Jaden and his anxiety or whatever. Like, they don't put a word to it, but clearly he's demonstrating signs of anxiety when it comes to speaking up for himself and defending a position. That moment in that debate where he literally falls apart is harrowing. Like, it is.
it's I loved how they played with the camera work, the audio. There was so much that they layered into that made you feel the anxiety that he was feeling. And I love
Yep.
when shows do that, like the extreme close ups and like you hear the breathing, the muted audio, because you're experiencing a panic attack with the character. So you know the mindset that they're going through. And I love when shows acknowledge that. And I like that Star Trek is acknowledging it. Like especially it's relevant for this period of time. I know I had, some anxiety attacks during the peak of the pandemic, working from home, not leaving the house, that kind of thing. It's like it gets you. You can go stir crazy.
It gets real uncomfortable, and I like how the show is comfortable in these uncomfortable moments. Like it's it's unsettling a little bit, but it sticks with it. It's like you said, it's doing a great job of making you feel it as a watcher, and I kind of enjoy that. And again, even with the next scene, where he's in the quarters and then has the whole, moment with Remy as Remy kind of comes in and tries to help him out in his own way. That moment itself is uncomfortable and it's sitting with it, but you see the characters interacting and Jaden kind of opening up but then shutting down too. As just kind of trying to help his friend, give him a breathing method, which I also like because he's an ass. He's being portrayed as the asshole character, but we've seen these moments where okay, no, he's still going to try and help out in his own way. He's not just asshole for asshole's sake, but he's still, he still cares. He still has a heart. That's his friend too in a way, and he didn't want to see him up there. He's trying to, yeah. This helps me. Try it out. We'll see if it helps you. And I like that interaction.
And I feel that now that they are part of the Calica team,
Hmm.
I think this group is solidifying more as friends, and I like seeing that evolution throughout these episodes, and especially in this one because they're debating each other. There's friendly competition, but it's a little more for Jaden and Caleb. It's more intense, and to see them go at it and then them get dismissed by the doctor was
Hmm.
powerful.
Yeah. And then another uncomfortable moment. Excuse me, sorry. Another uncomfortable moment you have, because we're getting flashbacks of Jaden with his family, like that whole scene with him and his father. It's like, oh, so you're going to understand, again, I like how they're playing with this. You're going to understand from both parts, whether you're a parent dealing with a child who's maybe not aligning with what you believe they should be, or whether you felt you were the child and the ugly duckling in the family, so to say, or the one who wasn't fitting in. You had different dreams and desires. Like, they're presenting these viewpoints or at least characters in a way that I hope people see themselves in or are able to see, okay, yeah, that's my character because I see myself in them or they're going through some of the things that I am. And the moment between Jaden and Thawk, this Starfleet Academy is showing itself in a way that it is mastering some of these intimate moments. And this was a moment, especially after on second watch, where I realized they could have done the cheap, easy legacy thing here
Right.
and use somebody like Worf in some way, shape, or form. You'll understand more why with episode 5. But because you use Thawk, who was half Klingon. And I like how she even approaches it. Like, I wish I had stepped more into my role as elder
Yes.
and
Yes.
helped you out and guided you because that's, man, oh,
It was it was such an amazing scene because it's using the backstory of the character to enhance the story and to tell a story with deeper meaning. And yeah, she admitted her fault. She should have stepped in earlier when he was having trouble, but she admitted it. And I like that there's a shared not ancestry, but I mean they're both Klingons, even though she's
no,
half
yeah,
Klingon,
yes, yes.
and it's just really cool to see that mentor mentee relationship
Hmm.
because it is a school, but I feel like it echoed, almost the best moments of like Picard mentoring Wesley or Cisco
Hmm.
mentoring Jake. It's those moments of mentorship that are even more important now that they're in a school setting.
Well, also like one how her accountability and whatnot. Again, to being able to see all both parties. This isn't just a YA show. It is not.
It's
Point
not.
blank. Period. I think on Trek News they were talking about how this is a show about also about parenting, how the older generation is interacting with the newer generation, and so yes, in this moment to be like, yep, there is that trepidation from older generations sometimes. Heck, I'm sure you and I are starting to feel this now as we raise our own children, or
Yep.
we're not quite old yet, but we're right there in the middle, and it's like, okay, do we impart here? Is it my place to step in? So I like how that trepidation leads to this. Okay, no, I didn't hear and I should have, but I'm going to hear and help this man out in this situation. And the way she is able to recontextualize for him that moment.
It
The note, we have to be open to reinterpretations of our experiences sometimes. Whether you accept it or not, different story, but that in reinterpretation is
and I love that the reinterpretation that his father didn't miss the shot because he was angry. He missed the shot on purpose to give Jaden an out, to free him while making himself not, you know what I mean? Like, not doing it in a way that would dishonor them as a family.
this again, we've always said this show is asking some questions. Check out For All Nerds because we're going to do a pop in and get into some of the broader scope of some of these
Right.
questions he's asking. But for the purpose of this episode here, like, yeah, that connection of, like, say, he literally asked the movie, why couldn't they see me how you saw me? And then to literally have, because Stark is able, with a better understanding of the culture,
Yep.
it's like, no, no, no. Anger helps Klingons on the hunt. That ain't, he missed on to free. It's, yeah, just that moment to gets to allow him to step in and be like, I am okay. I, it, who I am can fit within this culture anyway.
And the beauty of that scene is it's not only reinterpreting it for Jaden, but for the revelation is us as the audience too. And to me, that is brilliant because we are literally sidestep with Jaden throughout his journey. I feel like we're living it with him, and to get that realization in real time with the character, it's powerful because you are becoming more connected to the character because you're experiencing it at the same time he is. And I thought that was brilliant writing.
Especially since everyone's out here. How was he a Klingon? Klingons, watch the damn show. It is going to answer the questions again. Like, okay, like you are providing the answer. Yes, full Klingon. We
Yeah.
get back to the debate, and without self-definition, are Klingons Klingons? Does the Federation require other great peoples to cease in order to redefine itself? My God. Deeper discussion on that on the For All Nerd side.
Right.
But ooh, what a quote there. And then, of course, how does any of this matter if there is no hope? And then the Federation would do better to humble itself and hear our language as it is spoken. The writing on this show.
And I think to me that kind of calls back to season 1 of Picard where, the Admiral was like the sheer fucking hubris of Picard or whatever, but the sheer fucking hubris of Starfleet for these many centuries. And we're breaking down those walls like in episode 2 where they're like, "Hey, maybe the Federation HQ or the Federation president seat can be on a different planet and not Earth and not follow tradition."
Let's
But
look
this
at this. Yes.
but this is another re-examination from an outsider perspective. That look, maybe the Federation should do a humble check once in a while because you guys are all high and mighty. And
Right.
how did that work out for you during the burn?
You're trying to solve this problem according to your standards. No, you need to solve this. It's a Klingon problem. Solve this as if for the Klingons. And it's, yeah, deeper discussion again on For All Nerds. We then get the moment of Jaden coming onto the bridge, and they make it a moment because this is the first cadet of the show
Yeah.
to be on the bridge, and I love how they treat it as a moment, and I love how it is the moment for Jaden. It's not Caleb, it's not Genesis, it's not Remy, it's Jaden the King, and then we
They
have
treat it as a special moment,
yeah,
and it
yeah,
is.
yeah. Again, the show is aware. Gotta love what they're doing here. Klingon theme, fake battle, which is great because essentially the solution is okay, the Klingons won't accept it, but if we have a fight with them, they'll conquer it as spoils of war, and then they'll accept it and take it and live there happily ever after. Like,
It wraps it up in a bow, and the fact that he also knows that his parents are a lot like his family is alive on the
mhm.
planet, but he doesn't immediately like go to them or seek them out, which could have been the perfect happily ever after, but it's not. Now he's on his own journey. He can have the peace of mind that his family is safe on a new planet and they can establish themselves, and now he still can take his own journey that his father allowed him to go on in a Klingon way. It's a fantastic episode, and the
Uh,
more we talk about it, now I know why this is your favorite of the
it's
season
it,
so far.
and then like say you end out the episode, you have the I forget his the Klingon she's not Chancellor, whatever I forget it, but I'm not gonna
Yeah,
stick on. He
he's
come,
not
comes,
chancellor, but he's
yeah,
their leader.
kind of leader right now. So he comes to the bridge and presents Jaden with a weapon, which is important because Jaden didn't want a weapon, and specifically states so that he doesn't at the beginning of his episode. He's like, I don't want a weapon. I'm a healer. I believe in life. But I think even Jaden again opening up and understanding it's not just a thing for killing. It's representative of some other things, and he accepts it. He doesn't have an issue here. He accepts it in this moment. I think that's just as
Yes,
important as him not
Be-
wanting it, but then finally accepting it.
because he won the battle of words.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I like that the weapon was a Klingon bow to tie it back to how he
Yep.
ended things with his father. Beautiful symmetry, and he finally gets to enjoy the warrior stew.
Yep. And yeah. And it's not as it's a little spoiled, a little spicy or whatever it was. It
Yeah.
wasn't his. But yeah, like yeah. This is. I was enjoying the show. This episode is what solidified it as like, oh, they are doing this because for you to take an original series race, an
Yeah.
original like this is Klingons and one of the pillars of Star Trek to redefine it, to relook at it in this way, connecting it like I had the last two notes are what are we holding on to that we need to let go, and then the final quote is maybe the trick is not to let go of the past, but let the present in.
And I don't care who you are, that is relevant for so many situations. It spoke to me on several different levels. And when I first saw this episode, I was like, "Ooh, this is Starfleet Academy getting to the meat of things."
Yes, yes. So,
And it's what we've been asking for. This is what we were talking about when we had For All Nerds. This is the hope. This is the good Trek.
you had
This
to
is
get through the
this is
three.
the
You had to get
good
through the
stuff.
first three. We told you like this part is they
Yes.
start doing stuff, and yeah, if you just jump into here, you're not going to appreciate it. I don't think like come along for the ride because again, they're doing character development of a lot of people all the way through, even though this is the Jaden episode. And yeah,
It's
okay,
fantastic.
it is like this is it's not
It's
just a favorite of the season.
fantastic.
This is easily a top episode of Star Trek all time. Like it's maybe not top 10, probably not,
It's
but it's
definitely in the
it's
top 20.
20. Yeah, it's up there. Like because
Yeah.
what you're doing with taking legacy and pushing it forward. That's all we want.
Yep.
That's all we want. So rank them, sir. Before we get out of here, 4 episodes, season one. Where are you at right now?
I'm loving it. I'm 4 episodes in. I'm loving it. I feel like it's already better than Strange New Worlds for me because It's way better than Strange New World season 3 at this point. Like 4 episodes in, it's better than that season.
Where would you have these four in order? What's
Oh man, God. Uh, I would say maybe the third episode last.
okay?
Then I would do. Then I would do the premiere. Then I would do beta test, and then I would do this one on top.
Okay, I am 4, 2, 3, 1. So I'm just flipping the bottom. I'm just
Okay.
flipping the
Yeah,
bottom
yeah.
right now. Whoo! Yes, that is our spoiler episode right there of episode 4 of Star Trek Starfleet Academy. Let us know your thoughts. Join our crew. Like, share, subscribe. Again, it may not be out just yet because it's going to be a broader episode, but we're going to get into some of the questions that this series is asking over on a collaboration with For All Nerds. Shout out to them for the hookup here. So yeah, definitely check that out. But until the next time, keep enjoying Star Trek. We certainly are. Live long and prosper. We'll check y'all next time.